It was a frigid November dawn in rural Montana, just past 6 a.m., when the Willow Creek farmers market stirred to life under a pale gray sky. A thin layer of frost coated the gravel roads, glinting like shattered glass under the weak sunlight. Pickup trucks lined the streets, their tailgates brimming with late-season squash and corn from the harvest, while wooden stalls adorned with twinkling string lights displayed hand-woven blankets and steaming mugs of cider. The air carried the rich aroma of bacon sizzling on a griddle and the faint sweetness of apple pie from the diner across the way. Laughter echoed as families huddled against the cold, and high school kids in Letterman jackets traded playful jabs, a typical Saturday for this tight-knit community where neighbors still lingered to share a quick hello. Into this vibrant scene shuffled Ellen Carter, a 68-year-old widow whose slow, deliberate steps betrayed the weight of her years. Her weathered face was etched with deep lines, her hazel eyes dulled by exhaustion, yet a flicker of quiet strength remained. She wore a faded flannel jacket over a patched sweater, her silver hair tucked beneath a battered cap from her late husband's days as a local mechanic. A worn canvas tote hung from her shoulder, its strap frayed, holding a thermos of weak coffee and a bottle of arthritis pills, her daily companions since her joints began to fail. Ellen had come to sell her homegrown vegetables to cover the heating bill and buy a new pair of boots for her grandson, Tyler, whose birthday loomed next week. Her son, Major Daniel Carter, was stationed overseas commanding a company of soldiers, and Ellen refused to burden him, clinging to her independence with fierce pride. As she arranged her modest stall by the roadside, her scuffed boots slipped on a hidden patch of ice. Before she could catch herself, Officer Rick Dawson, his face flushed with impatience, stormed over, his breath visible in the cold air. "Move it, lady! You're clogging the road!" he barked, his voice cutting through the morning calm. Without hesitation, he grabbed her arm and shoved her hard, sending her sprawling to the pavement with a dull thud. Her tote tipped, spilling carrots, potatoes, and green beans across the asphalt, some crushed under the tires of a passing truck. The market fell silent for a heartbeat, then the murmurs started. "Oh man, the old lady's down!" A teenage boy in a Letterman jacket chuckled, pulling out his phone to record. A group of girls nearby giggled, one whispering, "Is this a stunt?" A burly man in a plaid shirt strolled by, tossing a lazy, "Get up, Grandma! You're holding up traffic!" Ellen's hand shook as she reached for her scattered vegetables, pain searing through her knees. Her face burned with humiliation, the sting of their laughter piercing deeper than the fall. Officer Rick loomed over her, his tone sharp. "This ain't your personal parking lot. Follow the rules." His partner, Officer Jake Rollins, joined him, adding, "Yeah, clear out before we call it in." Ellen's eyes welled with tears, not from the ache, but from the shame. She clutched a crushed carrot, her fingers brushing the cold ground, but no one stepped forward to help. The crowd grew, some filming, others whispering judgments. A young mother turned away, shielding her toddler's eyes while a diner waitress leaned out the window, shaking her head in dismay. Ellen's voice cracked as she murmured, "I just needed this for my grandson." Her words dissolved into the indifferent hum of the market. Rick bent down, yanking her arm again to force her up, vegetables crunching underfoot as he muttered, "Up you go, old-timer." Suddenly, the sharp rhythm of boots shattered the tension. A tall figure in a crisp military uniform, his polished shoes clicking against the pavement, pushed through the crowd. Major Daniel Carter, 36, his face a storm of rage and dread, roared, "Mom!" The market stilled, phones lowered, laughter faded into silence. Daniel dropped to his knees beside Ellen, his hands trembling as he gently lifted her. "Mom, are you hurt? Who did this?" His voice broke, tears glistening in his eyes. Ellen, still dazed, squeezed his hand, her own tears spilling over as she whispered, I'm okay, Danny. The boy filming pocketed his phone, his smirk vanishing. The girls exchanged uneasy glances. Rick and Jake froze, their authority unraveling. Daniel helped Ellen to her feet, draping his coat over her shoulders. "You people are heartless," he said, his voice shaking with fury. "My mom fell, and you stood there recording? Laughing?" He turned to the officers, his gaze piercing. "And you, treating her like trash in front of everyone?" The crowd lowered their heads, a wave of shame washing over them. Ellen leaned on Daniel, her expression softening. "I'm fine, son," she murmured. Daniel's jaw tightened, his emotions barely contained. Facing the onlookers, his voice rose with conviction. "You judged her by her worn-out jacket, her gray hair. She raised me alone after Dad passed. A heart attack took him when I was 10. She worked double shifts at the diner, fixed cars with hands that bled, sold her wedding ring for my academy fees, never once complaining. I'm a major now, leading 200 soldiers, but my proudest title is her son." The market grew deathly quiet, the weight of his words sinking deep into every soul present. A girl who'd laughed stepped forward, her voice trembling. "I'm so sorry, sir. We didn't know." Ellen offered a weak smile, patting her hand. "It's not about knowing, sweetheart. It's about caring." Daniel began gathering the scattered vegetables, placing them back with gentle care. The officers, now red-faced and stammering, muttered apologies. "We're sorry, sir. We didn't realize." Daniel shot them a cold stare. "Realize what? That she's a person? Even a stranger deserves dignity." As they turned to leave, a man in a suit approached, his voice respectful. "Major Carter, your truck's ready." A sturdy black pickup idled nearby, its engine a low rumble. Whispers buzzed. "He's a big deal, huh?" But Daniel ignored them, guiding Ellen toward the vehicle. He paused, addressing the crowd one last time. "You saw a frail woman and mocked her. She's the reason I stand here today. My mom gave everything for me. Today you shamed her. Tomorrow step up and do better." The truck door shut, and as it rolled away, a heavy silence settled over the market. The next morning, a bystander's video exploded on Instagram Reels captioned, "Mom fell." The crowd laughed, but her son's courage changed everything. It racked up millions of views within hours, igniting a firestorm of comments. "This is what family means," and pushing Shakuk respect elders to trend nationwide. The video reached the sheriff's office, prompting an urgent investigation into officer misconduct. A week later, Rick was suspended pending a full review, and a new sign appeared. "Every elder deserves respect." The town launched a community training program on empathy, and a volunteer senior support team sprang into action, distributing warm meals and helping with errands. 2 weeks into the ordeal, the local news picked up the story, airing a segment titled "A Son's Fight for Justice." The footage of Daniel's confrontation went viral again, inspiring a flood of donations to a GoFundMe page set up for Ellen's medical bills and Tyler's birthday. The sheriff called an emergency town hall meeting, where residents packed the community center, their faces a mix of guilt and resolve. Daniel spoke, his voice steady. "This isn't just about my mom. It's about all of us, how we treat each other when it counts." The room erupted in applause, a turning point for Willow Creek. 1 month later, a grand ceremony filled the church hall, its pews overflowing with townsfolk. Ellen sat on stage, her smile radiant despite a cane at her side. Daniel beside her, his chest swelling with pride. The sheriff stepped forward, his voice thick with emotion. "We dropped the ball, but we're picking it up now. This is for Ellen Carter, who reminded us what compassion looks like." As the crowd cheered, Ellen took the mic, her voice trembling but clear. "I'm no hero, just a mom. If my fall opened a few hearts, Maybe it was worth every bruise? A boy in the back, once a mocker, wiped his eyes, his expression transformed by regret and newfound resolve. The transformation didn't stop there. Over the following weeks, Willow Creek evolved. Officers began assisting elders across streets, diner staff reserved front seats for the gray-haired, and strangers offered smiles to every senior they met. Ellen's fall had ignited a quiet revolution, proving that one act of love could rewrite a community's soul. Her small stall reopened as Grace's Corner, a symbol of resilience, where locals now gathered not just to buy vegetables, but to share stories. Tyler received his boots, a gift funded by the GoFundMe, and Daniel returned to his post with a renewed sense of purpose. As winter deepened, with snow blanketing Main Street, the question lingered in the crisp air. When will we all rise to meet our better selves?